All the WAVs look good.
Good.
So I'm going to hit this go live button. Oh, that was a mistake because there's a whole lot of stuff I've not put in the introduction yet. It's been 3 weeks. I've forgotten how to do any of this.
Let me just grab the titles and everything.
Yeah, I grabbed most of the titles. Also not hearing enough of myself in my cans, but that'll be fine. Anyway, we're live, so I'm now going to read out the following and we'll make the best of it. You are listening to Let's Go JoJo, the weekly JoJo's adventure. Skip that one more run up.
All right.
Should have done some rehearsal. You are listening to Let's Go JoJo, the weekly JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello.
It's Niall.
Happy New Year.
And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, we are covering anime that aired the week of a bunch of weeks.
December the 18th to January the 6th, which is 2 years worth of anime.
Yes, that's correct. 2 years. Certainly felt like it. Well, I was trying to remember some of it because some of it I watched 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Good times.
Because in the meantime, I've watched Knives Out and Glass Onion twice. So I may have just filled up that space with that.
It wasn't that hard a mystery, right? Come on.
Well, I watched it and then my mother wanted to watch it. So I watched it again.
Right.
And it is worth watching them a second time because once you know the things.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it the second time. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about Glass Onion and Knives Out. We're here to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Episode 28, Time for Heaven, 3 days until the new moon. And I watched this. I quickly ran through it again because it was 3 weeks since we watched it. The girls and their small child, their son, they're in search of the third Dio child, and
I gotta use my star-shaped birthmark to track other people with a star-shaped birthmark, and it's led us to this hospital. Little baby baseball man, we need you to go out of danger, basically, because you have no stand powers. Later on, we see you get a gun, which you'll fire wildly in the intro. But for now, you need to get the fuck out of this situation. So, what's the convenient?
Got to give this
that's
disc
the convenient excuse.
Well, it's not just an excuse. We need to get this disc into my dad so he's full operating power and can re-enter the story at some point.
But Jolene, I gotta go. No, but you're the B team leader. Okay. And Irma just go, this must be that Joe Star charisma I keep encountering. It's just like the people just cast around by Nora and they just let them get away with anything they tell them to because they're so brave and chivalrous.
I mean, she's being pulled into this thing herself, so yeah.
Wait a minute. Gotta get in this hospital, gotta find this dude. He's just like some invalid in a bed.
Yes.
Because this was the guy who was shot, and he's still recovering from being shot before we were even introduced to his character. Yeah.
Yes. Donatello Versus is having a chat with Poochie, and Poochie seems to be testing Donatello's tasting abilities.
Yeah, it's just I'm testing you as a person through the medium of, can you identify if there's shellfish in my dinner, because I am deathly allergic to shellfish. You need to figure this out. And it's cool that we haven't seen your stand yet. Don't worry about it, you'll get there. I'm gonna get really close, uncomfortably close to you. Is that okay? I hope that's okay.
Pretty good, nothing in there, but okay, good. However, there might be some shellfish in the sauce, so I will not recommend at this time when you consume this dish. It's okay. Oh, and there's one more thing in your food. What's this? A small boy who's been shot. What? Because you hear outside that this child has just been brought into the hospital. He's like, oh my God, little Billy, oh, why did he get shot? Like, oh, Mama, I don't want to die. And it's just shrieking similar things. So how did this boy get in my soup, waiter?
Yeah. It's one of them weird stand powers. I mean, of course it is, but it's one of the weirder ones.
That'd be quite a scene that Jolene and Hermes would arrive upon then. If they just bust in the door and it's just nothing here but a big hole in the floor. What? This is Silent Hill 2 up in here. What?
Yeah. And it's and Jolene's see, we could we could leave him alone. But you know that priest, that sneaky priest, he's just going to hide in that hole for 3 days unless we go in after him.
Them priest tricks. So I'm gonna rappel down and say, Jodie, no, I gotta do this. I'm a Joe Star.
But I'll extend my wire, and if I'll tug on it if there's any problem, or I'll send a signal basically. So you reel me back in. Again, I feel like that works better in the comic than it does in the manga. It's still fun that the way the speech kind of travels up along the wire, but yeah.
So pedal down. Man, this goes pretty deep. Jesus, if I go down much further, I'll find myself in row 28, seat C on this Boeing 747 inbound to Florida. I'm about to crash into the ground. What?
Hermes is being attacked by Sports Max, who has reappeared. And I was like, hang on, this is... I didn't think it until I rewatched it now because there was nothing out. I was like, this is quite similar to what happens in Iruma-kun in these episodes we watched this week. People's past traumas are haunting them.
I mean, it's literal, kind of. It's literal ghosts in this one.
Yes, it's literally. Sports Max is literally. That's the bit which is like what's in a room, and obviously the plane. It turns out to be something quite different. Because
it does open in this one with it's like the year. I forget what year this thing is set in. Like 2000 and. Not in 2015, is it?
2010 or 2013, yeah.
Yeah, because like obviously one of the things Jolene notices, besides the weirdness that suddenly after crawling into a hole she's on a plane, it's like she's reading a guy's like newspaper and it's like, wait a minute, that says it's 2003. That can't be right. It's like it's a couple of years prior. It's a famous airline disaster where no one fucking survived. So,
but this is what Underworld does. It digs things up. You can dig holes, but also we can dig up memories of past events that have transpired upon this soil.
So it's not like an illusion of Sports Max crawling up Jolene's wire or anything. It's like literally the ghosts of himself, the ghosts of everyone on this plane who are all aware of how horrifically they died. I like the air hostess is like, oh, by the way, the passenger in seat 3C, his face, it lodged through my abdomen. Let me show you. And it's just like, gross. Why did you have to show me that?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
But also continue to do their jobs as...
would everyone turn off your electronic devices as we're going to be crashing in 15 minutes?
Don't bother calling your family. We've no signal up here.
Yeah, the guy, she's like, sir, I asked you to turn off all electronic devices, and his face is melting off because that's how he died. It's like... And
then outside, we see this plane flying underground, and then Pucci utters the line of the show, which is, can you not make this plane crash any quicker?
It's nice for a villain to recommend to actually look at the show and go like, I really need to kill these guys like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he's been more of a soft touch with the other two like sons of Dio. He's going harder on this one, saying, "No, I expect much more of you now, because you're meant to be the eldest, meant to be the most responsible." He's just got my fucking last nerve. I'm gonna kill him the chance I get.
Him being nice to him was up to the point of taste my food for me. And then it's like, okay, no, you're on the fucking clock now. You need to finish this Joestar off real quick for me.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. Why wouldn't you do that? No, she's gotten out that one before. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Why you on my case like this?
Dear.
You're such a bitch.
So the cliffhanger is them realizing they're gonna die on this plane, and how the hell on earth do we get out of this memory?
Yeah, obviously Hermes ends up on the plane as well, and they're stuck, both of them.
Yes. Oh, and the cliffhanger of Pucci is that the reason why he wanted to hurry up is because he could detect that his brother's getting closer.
Yeah. He's like, I'm really on a clock now.
Yes. Because slight problem is when he got the star, his brother got the star, and his brother can also track him down.
It's weird the way. It's weird the way that Dio chopping off Jonathan Joestar's head and putting his head on his body has made him part of the Joestar line, and also because that baby ate you and you're now that baby that was also a Joestar, your brother, like, he married in, I guess, to the Joestar line. It's just like, that's how genetics work. I'm sorry. That's just the way of it. It's weird, but it's of the show, so no problem.
Well, you know, like the adoption, you know, like people always saying, "Oh yeah, he was only adopted into the family," so he had to like do something to really like make his legacy stick there. One saying, "I am the heir to this." Come on, where's my
When you're
mention?
when you're adopted into the family, you get all the family birthmarks and all the family medical conditions. We all know how it works. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we married, and I heard everything from your father, including genetics.
Yeah.
If you can't get enough of this stuff, then the second volume of Thus Spoke Rohan Kashibe has gone up on the Shonen Jump
Ooh,
app.
exciting stuff.
And there was a trailer put out recently. They're going to do a live action of Rohan at the Louvre.
Yeah.
Are they actually going to film it at the Louvre? Because that's fucking.
I hope so. You know.
Oh,
yeah.
That would be excellent.
France goes gaga for the anime. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
The one let him in. Otherwise, I think he was like an artist in residence there for a bit. Hence, you know, drew a comic about it.
Yeah.
Probably less scary than what you went through.
Yeah, and the live action Rohan is up on Amazon Prime as well.
Is it already?
Yes.
Fuck. Excellent.
I don't know how much they've made of it. There's 3 of them up there. Yeah. Yeah, can't get enough of the JoJo stuff. Then we've got Tatami Time Machine Blues, episode 6, which is essentially an episode of Tatami Galaxy, but also a prequel to the 5
specifically this version, this universe. Yeah.
It's the setup for what happened in the previous 5 episodes, but also the final thing reveals is that the entire thing is a prequel to the original Summer Time Machine Blues, because that's a film which was made in universe.
Yeah.
Of the Tatami Time Machine Blues.
It's not necessary, but it does tie it together nicely. So
and the club.
What a weird idea for a film we come up with. Yes.
And the club is great because the thing, because you've not seen Tatami Galaxy, is it all hinges around, each episode hinges around another bizarre club or a normal club which goes bizarre. So this time it is a trade enthusiast club where their gimmick is that they are creating a non-existent fantasy historical railway line in the area of town where they live, based on things they find, which some might be train related, some might not be, but they give the clue that they might be train related.
So it's the idea of like when you go to like an old building and you can see that this used to be a place where it was a platform for a train, or there might be some old sleepers built into the ground, or this street is weirdly wide enough for a train and traffic, and it's that kind of thing. I was like, oh yeah, you can identify that, but it's them making it up. There probably was a train here at some point, but they're like, no, this was the what was it, the tuna line or something like that? It's a very specific train that they've made up.
It transported macro up the old West Clare Railway.
Yeah. And they're having it's not the idea that they're actually mapping a real train line, because there are historical documents that could do that very easily. It's like they're making up one, and that's fun for them. Yes. And it's all nice and innocent, and it's
all fun and games until Ozu joins the group. And
how about we actually do it, lads? You know, and he's kind of coming in with like, oh, it sounds like a kind of a wholesome idea, because it's, you know, trying to push him to kind of like actually achieve something. But now putting it down in like, you know, a little fanzine means they have to actually kind of quantify and collate and agree upon their central thesis about this railway. And everyone has their own little ideas about what they think it should be.
And the fact that it's not a physical thing, that they're actually trying to map out and look up the historical documents, because eventually you'd find out that there was or was not a railway that did this specific thing, which they don't want to do. They want to theorize. They want to go on trips and excursions, go like, oh, let's go up this mountain and see if we can find any railways, and it's all fun. But then it's like, you know, always it's like, come on, we got to share this with the world. Let's codify it in a little fucking magazine for everyone to enjoy. And so their theories start getting at loggerheads, and they divide into like 3 distinct groups.
3 factions for and
I did like the logo splitting into 3.
Yes.
I thought that very good design logo. Yeah.
And because it's more like in the format of Tatami Galaxy, we also get the first contact, worst contact line that happens every episode. And then I can't remember how that bit finishes. It all leads into them talking about Akashi was also making a film at the same time.
Yeah, see, Ozu's in lots of different clubs, so he doesn't mind like ripping this one club that our protagonist is part of, because, and he's like, I'm only in this one fucking club. So eventually he's talking to Ozu. It's like, wow, they split the different factions though. So how many are left in the club? It's like just you and me. It's like, fucking what? I hate you most of all.
But I'm not sure if I'm sent by what he was thinking to begin with. I mean, I'm going to hang out with cool people and meet sexy chicks. I'll go hang out with the Railway Club. Come on, man. You better run for your own back there.
And the film club guy was being mean to Akashi's B movies that she's making. And so the three of them decide that they will make a time travel film which is essentially designed to rip the piss out of the people who they're going to cast in the film.
Yeah, they're going to cast them in roles that rip the piss out of their opinions of her prior work.
Yes.
And it's literally going to be exactly the same kind of B-movie schlock that she always makes.
Yes.
It's very clever.
There's going to be a time machine. There's going to be... The universe will be imperiled. I mean, their version, the movie, is everything will just die at the end. And then it's like, little do we know that the events you've seen of the previous 5 episodes would come to pass. But then later, this would be made into a movie called The Summertime Machine Blues.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yes. So does that mean in this universe that Akashi, she also directed Psycho-Pass and the 2 Fooly Cooly sequels?
Yeah.
She's doing all right for herself then. Yeah. Okay.
And I was wondering if, like, particularly like the interactions of how they're discussing it is like, oh, is I supposed to be, at least in the animated version of this, is I the novel author and Ozu the screenwriter?
Oh, because fucking writers hate their fucking screen. The original authors can have a contentious relationship
together. Yeah,
but they have to work together to make the actual fucking thing. And it's like, I hate working with that fucking screenwriter. He takes my words and twists them into non-art.
Yes.
And therefore he becomes a mockable figure in the actual adaptation because he's a fucking guy who can't get any of his shit together.
I should have made a note of the one line which made me think of that, because it was particularly because it connected to... because obviously... It's the weird thing of, like, Summertime Machine Blues is written by the screenwriter of this anime and the Tatami Galaxy anime, but the Tatami Time Machine Blues is a novel based on Summertime Machine Blues written by the original author.
Yeah.
But also in Tatami Galaxy, there isn't enough stuff in Tatami Galaxy to make a full-length TV series, so there's a whole bunch of original stuff added, created by the screenwriter. And I was like, there was just one particular line which made me, that connects all together. It's like, is that how the screenwriter is viewing these two people, not necessarily through the entire series, but just at that particular moment where they're discussing
they're representing where they're basically bouncing the ideas off each other, and they manage to form the whole plot just in a conversation of them walking home. And I feel like if that's the case, then this is the best way to do self-insert characters, and it's to absolutely rip the piss out of yourself and what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're from. Like, no, you might not like what I do with what your stuff, but you would just keep it to yourself otherwise.
Yeah.
I make things actually happen around you. Like, I actually get you up and actually doing things. It can't be all bad, can it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the series. I would say it's also completely unessential, but because sometimes
it's not important. It's not like it's not necessary, but it is very enjoyable, which is what a story should be. And like much and all his B movies are, it's like, listen, they're terrible. It's not really like a theme or the character development, but it's a fun time, right?
Yeah. I see. It's more to Tatami Galaxy. It's just like
exactly.
It's all these like folks that you knew from that. It's almost the exact same. It's going the exact same way, but it's even now we're getting put a time machine in it. Like what would it do with this? It's selfish, petty things, of course.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like the personal drama that Tatami Galaxy has, nor does it have the protagonist's penis represented by a cowboy. So there's another thing to entice.
Say that for the Blu-ray.
Yeah. Well, yeah, who knows? There may be more stuff, because that's what they did with Galaxy. Was you bought the DVD and there was 3 more stories on there, based on other short stories. Then we've got Lupin Zero, episode 2, Hang Tight to the Treasure on the Train, in which Lupin and Jigen continue to flirt with each other.
What? No way. I don't like that guy. I just like to think about him and smile. That's different.
We'll
So
have a long
the-
life together.
the mention of they've just invented this thing called yakisoba dogs
My
seems to
God.
suggest that this is set in the 50s, which would then make sense for it to be like, oh, once they're adults, they're the age they are when the original anime starts.
Even though that doesn't line up to modern things where Lupin is on forums and stuff.
Yes.
Forget about just don't worry about that.
Well,
That's
yes,
okay.
clearly,
Looks very young for his age. Also, doesn't have his real face, so how are you to know?
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, he does feel like a character who decided once he got so old, he was going to stop aging.
I'm good. I'm good here. Yeah.
Because they make the point of like, because this is the thing which drives Jigen crazy, is explaining to the girl who's been trying to recover her treasure, is like, oh, he acts like a child, so he acts like a super serious, like an adult, and then he's like a child at other times, and it drives me crazy. And as you say, yeah, she says, but if you're talking about that guy with a big smile on your face, I'm pretty sure he's your friend.
Yeah.
Again, you would just sit around not doing much. He comes along, and like what he does for the stuff, he gets you up off your ass and doing things.
Because Lupin's trying to compete with him, is like, I bet we'll see. I bet you I can get that limited edition noodle sandwich before you. And Jigen's like, no, I'm not partaking in any of this. I'm walking away because he has a job to do, which is shady dealings with some professors who are bringing back archaeological stuff on a train.
Professor Rocco, Johnson and Knuckles.
Yeah, like those guys are super suspect. One guy has a peg leg, for fuck's sake. I mean, come on.
They've also...
that's his leg in a dig in Afghanistan.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm untrustworthy of people with prosthetic legs, but a peg leg—that's a pirate. You can't fool me.
They've got a very criminal dad and his two idiot sons vibe.
Yeah. I don't know if he's actually his dad, but that's the functional role. Yeah.
Yes, that's what they feel like. And they've hired Jigen to be the bodyguard to prevent a thief stealing this necklace that they're going to sell at a midnight auction. Nothing suspicious here. And so
for charity.
Lupin thinks this sounds like fun, and so follows him onto the train with a range of disguises.
And he keeps saying, "It's like, I'm gonna fucking steal it. I'm gonna steal it from you, haha." And he's like, "Oh, fucking God, no! Don't fucking steal it, because you're good at stealing shit. I don't need you to do this job." But is it Lupin who meets the girl who's very badly disguising herself first? Yeah.
Well,
she's wandering around like a fucking tribal shaman.
She has the hood up, but she's doing the whole shamanic thing on a train, so it's not very good disguise. Yeah.
What's her? Marina Xochitl Napakakoka.
Yes, she's from some sort of indiscriminate foreign country.
South America stand.
Yes, where they're it's the chief's jewelry had been stolen from his grave, and that's what she's come to recover.
Yeah. Would you believe they're grave robbers? Yeah. And Lupin's like, "Oh, that's fucked up. I'm definitely going to steal it now. I was just going to steal it for fun before, but now I'm going to steal it for serious."
And this made me realise on last episode, it was like the reverse of what a lot of the post-Cagliostro stories, where it was like, oh, it's an adult woman being assisted by two children. This time it's like, oh, this is like a Clarice-type aged character, but this time Lupin is
age. That age. Yeah, that was the weird bit as well. Yeah, it's just like, oh, and she's going to be like, "I fancy you, Lupin," as a girl could fancy an older man. And he's like, "Oh, no, thank you." But it's like, no, like last that thing where the woman was coming on to you, is like, that was weird because she's way older than you. But in this case, it would be appropriate.
And there's no.
I wonder if we'll see them all again in the climax of this little series.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's lots of shenanigans involving hopping onto different trains, the necklace going back and forth, Jigen realising, oh, his justification for turning on the robbers is that he was hired to protect the necklace from robbers, and now he's realised those guys are robbers, so therefore...
that's still part of the job.
Yes, I'm still a professional. Yeah, two boys destroying a train in an attempt to stop it. There's a great bit where Jigen and Lupin are having a conversation either side of a chicken cage, and the chicken's head keeps on moving backwards and forwards each time they talk.
Yeah, the chicken's paying attention. Yeah, it's good.
Everybody has a big laugh at the end, including the pigs who they...
That was so good. It was just like the pigs are also like laughing as the freeze frame happens. Yeah. Good shit. Again, it felt very good caper Lupin stuff, despite them being children. It's working.
Yes, yeah. It's they've got the same characters, and it's like, oh, it almost, particularly Lupin, it feels like, oh yeah, he's just hung on to this.
Childlike exuberance.
Yeah, that's like his view of the world has stayed the same. Uh,
And it's funny, like Jigen's the same age as him, but has a cynical old worldview, and that's why he seems so much older. It's just like, oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Can I see the development of Gordon Jigen where like this is like, we're trying to stop the train at that point saying, gee, you gotta do this on one bullet. It shows that like a kind of real class gunman shit you're gonna do when you're older. Because otherwise he's kind of rich because he just has under the jacket like fucking bandolier upon bandolier of bullets. He's just fucking plugging away, spraying away. He's not kind of no regard for what accuracy as much. But saying, no man, you gotta be sparing, you gotta be fun focused and calm. You're a pro, remember? Just kind of saying, oh yeah, this is how I can use that and be that.
It's definitely like you can see where the characters are going to go, because it's like, again, the standard thing of why does Jigen, a professional, very serious man, hang out with Lupin? It's like, look at them as children, because it's fun. They have a good time. He brings a lot of frivolity and fun to Jigen's life, which he wouldn't otherwise put in his own life because he's too serious.
Then we've got Pui Pui Molcar Driving School, episode 11, Peter's Nightmare, in which it's all about the fear you have as a learner driver of driving out into heavy traffic. And it takes the opportunity to suddenly go from stop motion into something which feels like it's come out of the animated version of The Wall. It's like just nightmare Molcars looming towards Peter.
It's really nice style, yeah.
But eventually he gets brave enough with the help of his mates at night. He has a go again, and then he's by the end of the episode, he's brave enough to go on the road.
Just let me in. Yeah. Well, there's a lot happening out there. There's a police car chase going on. When you gotta let that go, of course. It's like yeah. So that's more cameos in there from other cars, isn't it? Then they're graduating.
Yeah, episode 12 is Goodbye Driving School, in which they say goodbye to the driving school, and the time-travelling Molcar appears in the last episode and launches some fireworks.
We're never going to forget the driving instructors and all the staff at the school. Fun. It's like, I'll check her out. The lady instructor, she's like, doing a course in record time, doing a cool skid and winking at you from inside the Molcar. Like, yeah, these guys actually are pretty cool,
And then at the ends with Potato about to cause the same accident that he caused in the very first episode, but this time does not knock over a vast amount of buildings. So he has learned something. Well done, Potato.
Don't knock over buildings.
Just get you one day without leveling the city. You've made some progress.
Then we got Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Season 3, Episode 11, Toto the Genie, and Episode 12, Wish Upon Your Bow. Last time we left them, two of the lads were running a gambling hall because they'd been eliminated from the Harvest Festival. How did this happen? It's the power of the horse guy, whose name I've forgotten. It's not Ouroboros, it's something quite similar to that.
Yeah. I was about to say Toto, and I was like,
yes.
yeah.
It's in my search history. Orobas, who, when you look at the picture of him, he's a horse wandering around on his hind legs like a man. So they're pretty good, accurate depiction of him. So he's like a horseman wearing a jockey outfit. And he's accompanied by a guy who reminds you of Ozu from Tatami.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much so. Yeah.
Because I'm not entirely
Not
sure.
quite as wiggly, but yeah.
Yeah, Orifice does not seem. He's targeting all the misfit class, we learn.
Because when he had the opportunity to go after another student, he's like, no, he's not misfit class. We'll let him pass.
Yes, whereas his little sidekick seems to be much more wicked than he is. So yes, he basically caused Jazz to be surrounded by hallucinations of his brother, who he then eventually kicked, but it turned out he was actually kicking Orobos, and that's kicking out because you're not supposed to attack another student.
The line guy seemed to go like, I better go with him, even though I haven't been eliminated from this. So I was like, you didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
but they were kind of sharing points, so I think that was part of the problem.
So.
Yeah.
And I think also he wanted you to relay the information that it wasn't, because they were like, Amaru's like, oh, it's just a coincidence. He's like, I don't think it was a coincidence. He'd got a book and he burnt up the pages after he'd taken care of us. And he said he was targeting the misfit class. So, but Toto the Genie, with our two lads, Iruma and Lead, they've got as far as the divorced couple statues, and Iruma tears the song in half because it's got so many goddamn lyrics. And
you handle this end of the poem, I'll handle this end of the poem. Yeah.
Lead follow the clues on the right, I'll follow the clues on the left. And they all make sense. They take him underground, and then he runs into another student, a first-year student, who is something the Silent.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name. For the longest time, until they actually introduced Clara in her different costume, I assumed it was Clara in a costume because I'm pretty sure it's the same voice actor, because just making like noises basically.
Yeah, he looks like a purple Jawa.
Yeah. Also apparently stinks to high heaven.
Yes, and it was Iruma and Ali discovered them because Ali had dressed himself up as a Indiana Jones type to go on this treasure hunting adventure, and it's like, okay, let's ignore him and carry on. But of course, then Iruma's disappeared because, of course, he's going to free him because he's a lovely chap, and he was right to, because it all pays off.
It initially pays off where magical creatures stop attacking them because that kid stinks so fucking bad. What was the Bash Street kid who stank a lot? I assume it was just Stinky or something. I assume there was one like that. Anyway, it's one of those kind of characters where problems don't come at you because he's too smelly.
Nafula. Apparently, the Wikipedia tells me that we'll eventually learn that Nafula is a girl.
Okay. Again, I assumed it was Clara for the longest time, so yeah, that's fair.
I think there was some lines I've always seemed to kind of like intimate that there was like a female under that hood.
So frees Nafula. Pair of them go off, and they run into Toto the Genie. Who's like, well, first of all, they find the seed, and they're about to grab it, and Nafula spots a giant eye in a pit and is trying to attract Iruma's attention, but he's too entranced by the seed, and so a giant hand appears, grabs the seed. They dodge the hand though, and it's Toto the Genie, who looks more like a sphinx, I would say.
Big sphinx looking yoke, really.
It's a very sphinx looking dude. He's also got that animated thing where they have like a texture over him, but not in a way that makes him look like he stands out, just to make him look like he's partially the background, that he's that big. But
and very sphinx-free, you're not going to answer the riddle, but you got to tell us something that's never heard before.
You can either defeat me in battle or tell me something I've never heard before. And it's like, defeat me in battle, you're pretty big.
Yes.
But, like, could I tell you this thing? It's like, no, I have read every book.
Like, I've read this book, though, or this series of books collected in these 56 lovely volumes. Or however long it went on for.
10,000 years by the look of it. Yeah.
Yes. He acts out the first chapter of the manga, and Toto
We learned some new first thing. It was a boxing manga for a while. Holy shit.
Oh man, this got layers, you know. It was really like responsive and like able to kind of like predict trends as they came up, and it had to just like, pivot straight onto them. It was amazing.
Yeah, Toto thinks it's great. Here's the seed. Here's my phone number. Call me when you want to tell me some more of that story. It's grand.
Man.
Because initially he's like, that was an amazing story. And it's like, yeah, that's just the first volume. There's more? Okay, we're exchanging phone numbers. We're best friends now, basically, says this giant sphinx.
Oh, yeah. Well, I drew all that part myself. Wasn't just the inker.
And it was Nephilis or whatever the thing's name is helping out, because Iruma can't just tell the story. He needs to act it out in a stage play, which his I've forgotten the name of his ring is providing the background scenery for this epic tale of boxing for the moment, and eventually it's going to be about astronauts and other stuff down the line. Yeah.
Nafula's attempt was to tell a joke.
I know, I've read all the demon jokes. You can't humor me with that shit. But
it's a good one, but I heard it before.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the following episode, they've done a grand job. They've found everything, and then they run into Iruma's parents.
What?
Oh, I mean, like, I'm so happy now. The only thing that can make me sad is my parents, because my life before this is reminding me of me living, barely surviving and that kind of shit. But I'm in a happier place now. Oh no, it's my mom and dad, and they said they're gonna bring me home. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Again, doing that opposite thing of, hey kids, listen to your mom and dad. Like, not if they're pricks.
Please.
And
Fall
then
off a cliff.
Yeah, he falls off a cliff, and then it turns out, it's Oribus again, and he's like, that might have killed him. And then he's like,
I didn't lay a hand on him, Your Honor. He fell into that pit by himself.
and his lackey's trying to convince him to do the his powers trauma, and it will last even once he's gone away. We learn, as we'll learn as the rest of the episode, because he's trying to get to definitely he's not going to do it to them. Yes, and he's basically Iruma's trauma is the idea that everybody will discover that he's a human and won't want anything to do with him anymore.
Reject him, and he'll have to go back to his parents, who will treat him like shit as they did before. And it's really bad with the
rejected again by them. It's just like, he just has to admit, I'm not, but you guys say this. I feel fucking lonely as goddamn it. I'm the only person in this universe.
Because obviously it's the thing of his best friends like Clara and stuff, basically rejecting him was like, why didn't you tell us you were a human? You were keeping that from us. It was all a fucking front, wasn't it? It's like, no, we were actually friends. No, but again, this is his worst trauma, so you can't reason with it.
And it all merges into a giant monster. And then
I did like his grandpa going like, hey Iruma-kun, I'm sending you home to your parents. Bye.
Yes.
They were still being friendly, but it was just like, time to go home. Just click your heels, and it's just like, no, that would be the worst possible fate for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, a giant trauma ball of a monster.
Yes,
remember your training boy.
Yeah, exactly. but somehow, because Bachiko was deliberately trying to traumatize him, she could appear as an hallucination of a trauma and tell him
she's a positive trauma.
Yes, to book his ideas up.
Everyone gets traumatized. No, you can either eat you up, or you can just fucking quit up and fucking shoot straight through it.
Her horrific training was in order to make him stronger, and the trauma of her training reminds him of his training, which is like, all right, I could shoot an arrow through it, but you have to wish upon it to what do you want to do with this arrow? It's like, I want to be happy with all my friends and not to have all this bullshit. It's like, yeah, cool, shoot that at the monster of trauma. That'll do it.
And it does.
Shut the fuck off.
And then I think the succuba on that one is some more stuff with him and Nafula. And he's slowly learning how to understand Nafula's
Scooby-Doo talk.
Yeah.
Good for him, He just said he hates his parents. He's cured.
But yeah, I like these stories because they're quite sweet. But I also like how it's clear these characters who he's befriending are probably going to pay off later down the series.
Yeah. And I like the continuing thing of selfishness and greed and that kind of stuff, because we're talking about demons, is positive and healthy. It's positive and healthy to have a bunch of those rather than to be selfless all the fucking time.
Yeah, well, it's like, you need to think of yourself and set fucking boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah.
How he is. He agrees to anybody. He's a yes man. He's in buy one double, but that's just the people he's just met who seem to need his help. On his parents, he knows that all about. He's fun saying, it's just like fun saying, no. This is my life, and this is how I'm going to live it, mom and dad. I'm taller than you now, or he's still pretty small, but you get to that size, to that age, you could take out your dad, yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I presume next week we're probably going to see Lead fuck up the other side of the equation.
Stops for a burger and wipes his face off at the back. Oh no!
Because I'm not sure he can be trusted to do it on his own.
Probably not.
We can concentrate. Maybe you concentrate really hard on it.
Yes.
See something we missed.
Spy Family 24: The Role of a Mother and a Wife, and Shopping with Friends. So the first part is the fallout from Fiona's attempt to drive a wedge between Lloyd and Yor,
I should have known I could have win my husband back with tennis. I was a fucking
Yes.
idiot. What was I doing?
It sort of kind of worked because they're both stupid.
Yes. And also there's the irony of they go away from Anya to have this conversation away from her, and it becomes clear from the viewer's point of view that this would actually go better if Anya was there, because she could read both their
Yes.
minds and she'd be able to
She'd
negate
be
them
the
being at
balancing factor.
cross purposes.
Yeah, again, people not being able to communicate shit to each other, and Anya specifically being too stupid to, but being able to fucking hear everyone's inner monologue.
Yes.
I like the thing with Frankie, like babysitting her. It's like, I'm not a babysitter. It's like, here's that big wad of cash you wanted. It's like, thank you, but I'm telling you now, I'm not a babysitter. And him actually empathizing with Anya.
Respect me, do you?
But him actually like empathizing with Anya as well while babysitting her is like, you really love your mom and dad, don't you? It's like, oh yeah, I love them to bits. And he's like, I know it's a fake family and it's a spy mission. It's like, they don't really love you, and I'm worried about that because I'm actually a nice guy despite being a shill for
He's a
spies.
romantic, you know. He wants to see the best of people.
Yeah, yeah. And he doesn't realize that this family actually love each other. They're just too stupid to realize it. So
Yes.
you know,
You're the crazy uncle. You have a game. Your Count Scrofula. You do the little like wuh 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 wuh. You got the voice. You've got to sing with the child. You're the uncle now.
yeah, yeah.
And meanwhile, Yor gets incredibly drunk and knocks Lloyd out.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna take my wife on a date and smooth things over, and it's just like, not if she gets wasted because she's so upset that she like I need the strength of liquor to keep me going, and she knocks back his whole thing of was it whiskey he was drinking?
Whiskey,
Yeah.
entire bottle of
A
whiskey.
bottle he was saving.
And again, the whole thing of him getting kicked across the restaurant, landing in or the bar, landing on a flip, all the other dudes watching this fucking happening but not interfering, are just like, as he's
Yes.
landing.
And then him slowly realizing he's been hit a lot harder than he thought he had been.
Like, he is concussed. Like, his legs have turned to jelly. He's like, I've bit my lip and I'm staying up, but only for a few seconds, and down I go.
And he wakes to the sound of his own mother singing him a lullaby.
But it cutting to Yor and her going like, I don't know the other lyrics. That was pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, they do manage to, despite lying to each other constantly about their secret identities, they manage to make a kind of connection. Basically.
Yes, Anya's they're staying together for the kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like him kind of going like he's saying it as because him doing the smoozy, like, I'm going to do my romantic stuff that I've used to seduce thousands of women in my thing as a spy, and it's like, that doesn't work because she's very, very drunk right now. But him trying to connect her is like, no, you're actually like a really good mother to her, because Anya's told me multiple times she feels safe when mommy's around, and it's like, because mommy will murder anyone who tries to interfere with you. But he's not hearing that part, so yeah, it is true. What he's saying is true, but it is like, again, the miscommunication just showed us very well.
This wasn't in your book, was it, Mr. Spy?
Nope, he's doing it all off the cuff.
Yeah. And then shopping with friends. Anya and Becky go shopping. We're introduced to Becky's nanny / butler,
Bodyguard,
driver. Really
Fixer.
rooting for the kid character, which is a good character to have, where she's in the background. It's like, come on, make friends, you stupid kid. Open up to people. Yeah, she's rooting for Becky, but Becky is a selfish brat of a military-industrial complex scion, that kind of thing. But in a cute shopping spree with little girls, and it's like, we gotta make you a dress to impress the young Damien, who I can see you fancying. And then she realizes part with her was like, wait a minute, I should be shopping for me to impress Lloyd. Also another fashion show, and it was like, this is fun.
Makeover.
Yeah, very much that, and having a good time with it, and also, again, because once Anya's in the scene, Becky's like, I'd love to buy that cheap, I say cheap tat, that was a very expensive
like 100 fucking quid keyring you got there.
It's a very exclusive store. So the keychains are even very expensive, and Lloyd did hand her a big wad of cash to like smooth her way in, but she did spend a lot of the budget on that keychain. But
the sentimental value is through the roof.
See, that's the thing. Anya wants it as a remembrance of this fun shopping trip she had with her best friend. And she's like, best friend is like, oh, well, I can't accept your gift. It's like, that's no good. And it's like, it would be rude to not accept it. And Anya's like, I know you want this. I know you also want to commemorate this lovely time that we had as friends, but you can't admit it. And I'm a psychic child, so I can sort this problem out. No problem. And Dad gave me a big wad of cash, so I can doubly sort this problem out. It's very nice. Yeah, very sweet.
Oh,
Yeah, Martha the butler, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Who's got a great character design.
Yeah, the weird kind of sweet old lady, but also like stern, but
yes,
also
you
come
also
on,
get
kid.
You also get
make
the
a
feeling
friend.
she would kick the shit out of you if you tried anything.
Yeah.
it's just like it's like the black fucking like hitman hit person suit, and also it's just the gloves. Like okay, the gloves as well. You know, that means
No
like,
fingerprints.
Picture, yeah.
Um,
I need to get rid of this 5-year-old's body for me.
Yeah,
Again.
because
Yeah.
we eventually will see her kick ass, but it's like even just from the character design and the way she moves, you know she can. Yeah.
I mean, like she's minding the daughter of the military industry complex Scion. I assume she's military herself, basically. Yeah.
What does their company do? It's not. It's.
I think it's weapons manufacturer, isn't it? They make
It
tanks and
is,
shit.
yes. Military, yeah, heavy Black Bell Heavy Industries, yes.
Yeah, they're like as the Metal Gear would say, PMC or whatever the fuck, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Then second episode and the last episode of the series, First Contact, in which we finally get to meet Damien's dad.
Besides the interior thoughts versus exterior thoughts, and that the show does very well. Most of the episode is a casual conversation that has hidden depths that it manages to draw out to the whole fucking episode, and it does it so fucking well, man.
Also, kind of like have feel this dude out, fun, get look at what his plans are, but also not like shredding the hopes of this young boy, like to finally get some recognition from his father. What I do is so I've hijacked his earnest request for a meeting with his dad on this day when we're having all of the scholars are having a big meeting. So it's like, no, why you're at the school, Dad? Could I actually see you in person, please, Papa?
Yeah, it's a good introduction to Donovan because he's not as wicked as you would think he is.
He is a man.
And he's not necessarily as wicked.
It's like a face man,
Yes. Yeah, and he expresses his expression of his beliefs don't seem to quite match his own behavior as well. It's like he's talking about how humans can't understand each other, and then Lloyd.
It's like,
and yet you came to see your son, and
see, he's using that very casual, personal conversation to try and get the idea of it, because he's like, it's like, how can one person understand what another person is? Parenting is hard when Lloyd tries to connect with him over parenting, but Lloyd going yeah, but I am trying to improve your relationship with your son, because if I can get to you through your son, I can find out your political views. And it's because you don't know what other people are thinking. If only we could know what other people are thinking.
But at the same time, Donovan did choose to meet Damien when Damien had convinced himself that his dad wasn't going to show up. His older brother was trying to convince him that his dad wasn't going to show up.
Yeah, Dad's really busy. He's probably not going to show up, but I'll mention it to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Donovan still did it. And I'm not sure he himself knows why he did it. That he's probably
because he loves his kid.
Exactly.
You love your kid.
He's probably not as bad a man as he thinks he is. And he as well. But we barely seen him still. So
yeah, he still kind of remains on the mystery, and he seems suspicious of Lloyd. He's constantly giving the narrow eyes. It's like, oh yeah, you want to know this information, but he's also doing that to his own child as well. He's as he's laid out at the start of the episode with Lloyd kind of going over all the background. He's an intensely paranoid man. This is the only social interaction he does outside of his circle, basically, that since he's closed himself off. Which what makes the spy agency in the place worry that is he planning for another war? We don't know. We have to find out.
That's the thing, because this was the other thing. I was like, oh, we know there's this mission to get close to him. I was like, what is their plan once they've got close to him?
I think to try and convince him of not. Like, that's why he's trying to improve his relationship with his kid. Like, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
do you want your kid to grow up in war? Because if you're planning for war, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he doesn't.
That's why I feel it's going to go with Lloyd. He pursues his goal because like he was like orphaned by war and he's had to fund Rob. He's known like he grew up in the worst of it. He doesn't want that kind of happen again. Well, that's why he cares for his fake daughter. He doesn't want to happen to her. And Desmond could be the same way. Like, you know, this how he is with Damien. He's distant from him because he's trying to do all this hard, important work so that you can grow up and never be tainted by that thing ever again. So he's probably just teach himself to know I'm the only one who can do this. So I gotta, like, you know, be surrounding myself. I can't be insulated against this. He's probably maybe working like toward that other goal, but from another way, which may not line up with what the West wants, but maybe it's you can kind of see where he's coming from. Like you want the same thing. The only thing you can't agree upon is like what's the just or moral way or best way to do it.
A lot of what the show is seems to be the world. These two opposing factions are slowly making their way towards peace, and they're in peace times, and everyone is enjoying it. I mean, there's still secret police torturing people and stuff. We haven't quite got there yet, but we're not.
You almost have that in any era.
We're not in open warfare, and people are enjoying that, so it's something we probably want to continue. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other layer is whether they're talking about, oh, you can't understand what goes on in somebody else's head. And you're like, but there's a character in the show who can.
She was in the earlier part of this episode where she helped kind of set this up. I loved Anya's setup with this, where she's like, I'm on the secret mission too. I can hear my dad thinking around, but I can't see him because he's in the skies. But I know he's here trying to get Scion Boy to meet up with his dad. So I'm going to convince him to meet up with his dad, even though he's having doubts about it. And she does, kind of by goading him to it by accident, because she forgets what the hell she's talking about. It's like, no, you need to admit to your dad, even if you got a bad result in the test. That's what I fucking do because I got balls. What were we talking about again? And it's the thing that Damien's like said to his dad is like, I did really well. I got a Stella Star. I got best in show in the art competition. I did do bad in the maths test, but you know, other than that, I'm doing well. And it's like he wants to say this to his dad, but he has this old man interfering of Lloyd. Like it's just like
you get to say all that still, you know. Like,
he does get to say all that. Like Lloyd sets him up for that as well as Anya setting him up for that earlier. And it's really nicely done. Where Lloyd's like, I gotta stick out for this kid, even though it makes me look bad to this guy. It makes it look like I'll improve their relationship, and I helped improve their relationship, and it's all totally part of the mission. And I'm not just glad I've improved a father's relationship with his child around it. No, siree, no personal stake in this whatsoever. It's great stuff.
Damien briefly says that he says that he likes Anya too, and so that makes these two.
Oh, because he's
shocked.
Lloyd is something like, he's like, I don't tell Anya about any of this stuff, especially the stuff that I made up that she said that she actually didn't, but I was spying on you. It should be really embarrassed. She wants to be friends with you, and it's like, yeah, sure, I want to be friends with her too.
That's
okay,
yeah. Yeah, because there's a thing where earlier on the episode where Becky's like, do you love him? And she's like, I love him. But Dad,
I love Mammy,
Mom,
I love Daddy,
I
Peanuts.
love
Peanuts. She mentioned the dog, which I was like, come on.
Well, top three, you know, the dog's a recent addition to the thing. He's had a long, like, you know, like it's always been like number three. You know, a solid number three is the Peanuts. Has always been with me.
Yeah, he'll
the parents weren't.
He'll attempt to say the word jealous again, like he did in the previous episode. Good ending. We've got a movie and another series coming. So, because I hadn't realized.
What is a movie of this going to be? I can't figure that part out. Like,
it's like, Twilight need to go on a secret mission where you gotta go do this, and there'll be Jameson capers because the kid is super close. She's going to get up in the thing. The dog will probably get involved as well. You know, all your favorites.
If you're right, Brian, and it's a holiday special that comes out during the holiday that it's set in, that would be perfect. Like, it's the summer special and they're at the beach and it's coming out this summer. It's like, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Well, I can't do that too soon though, because like not long into where the second bit is going to come on, they go on a long cruise ship, you know, the cruise ship of assassins.
That's true. Yeah.
So that'd be maybe too similar to the thing, unless that was the film.
Yes, unless they just adapted our
jump straight ahead.
Unless they do the old Demon Slayer.
You got to watch the movies to continue the show. Yeah, could be.
or we get to take the movie and slice it into a show at a later date.
The old Dragon Ball fucking Super thing. We get to make the show a worse version of the movie.
That's it for Spy Family for now. But there'll be some more parents coming up in the episode. But before that, we got Pop Team Epic, Series 2, Episode 12, Endless Love.
The climax.
Yeah.
Oh man, all the reveals you've been waiting for. Frontier Revolution was a villain all along. I did not expect that. Jesus.
I think my favorite
Seems so
part
cool.
is your man from the Time Cops. Obviously, he's going to flip because we see him in the intro. We know he's going to flip. And then him teaming up with himself over and over again. Like it's like, hey, I'm the you from the past or something like that, and I'm the you from the with different voices.
Yes, because
so good.
one of them is being dubbed by the actor who has the same name as the guy who played the live action version of him, and they always get mistaken for each other.
It's so good. I love
Okay,
that.
we showed the princess, me, and me going behind.
Yes, it's directed by is it Koichi Yamamoto? Is that the guy? It's the Sakamoto. That's it. Kamen, the guy from Power Rangers, then to Super Sentai and Kamen Rider itself. It has the same opening as the first episode, with the two characters who do not actually appear within the episode in the opening, who will play
the professor.
Yes, but they're played by voice actors who have also played Popocos in previous episodes.
Yes.
So Ayoi Shota, I realise it's much easier to pronounce it in the Japanese order because you haven't got the A's next to each other. Yes, he's been given a watch from a future version of himself to turn himself into a superhero, and he's fighting the Time Patrol, as you say, led by TM Revolution. And he teams up with two Nakamuras, one from an alternate universe and one from the Time Patrol, to battle him. There's an advertising break where we get a weather forecast from Akbu, and then we get what turns out to be like a Pez dispenser advert by Uchu people with a song about ripping out your spine.
It causes you so much trouble. Just get it out of there.
And then the finale is that all the Popocos and PPBs from this series appear, team up with Ayoi Shota, and beat the Time Patrol.
B-side will never die. Yeah.
But only they're like promotional key art, because you just go like one dun 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 smack 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 smack.
They obviously brought them all our friends from all we've met over the course of this series have teamed up, like all the same two characters over and over again. But we don't have the budget to like do the epic fight scene that well, so we're just.
It's just that they ended up fun film. What's it called? Blues Brothers. Yeah.
And then a pair show up who we haven't met before, promising us a season 3. But only one of them talks, and it's got Shah Aznabul's voice, which is one of the voices people have always wanted. They want Amuro and Shah to do Popoco and P4B, and apparently Shah will be P4B as we get sort of Sengoku era P4B and Popoco show up, and then we get an end theme, which is like the dance things you get in a Super Sentai.
Yeah.
But this time, it's all the PPBs and Popocos dancing with Ayoi Shota. But this time they are animated, not like they were in the actual episode.
No. This is the important part. We have to go all out.
Yeah.
They had a lot of live action to do. They didn't have time for animating, so that's fine.
They show up to the like a version of the original theme song as well, don't they?
Yeah, the original theme song plays when they come in to beat up all the random masked goons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because obviously they do that trick in Mob Psycho as well.
It's an old trick, but it'll always fucking work on me. Yeah.
I was like, it was a weird feeling of elation to see like 2-frame animated versions of Popo and Peep-a-Bee show up at the end for a show we've never seen any other episodes of.
What are you talking about? All the times wait a minute. I've never seen the professor do anything except in the intro. Yeah.
I think the only way they could have made that better if instead of those people, it was the live action Gal and the live action old man from Gal and Dino, as if to somehow insinuate that's also tied into this.
That's another timeline, yes. So the future has many possibilities.
Yeah, so that's Pop Team Epic for you. It's a great way to go out. I know people hated it this episode.
Why would they hate it? Why would like anybody who's on board with this to begin with hate and have like this is what it does on the regular. It's like it's just like completely just like fun morphs and fun changes around whatever the hell it feels like doing.
Like literally my only problem this season was once they did the flip book episode, it's like everything else is going to pale in comparison to this. It's like because it's so fucking good. Like that's a good problem to have, basically.
Yeah, it felt like maybe you could say like it's a sequel series, so it felt like the characters took what they did from like the first season and just made it kind of bigger and longer. So you could say like the show to our bits were like okay, there's a lot more like if they made a whole episode for a start. Maybe I the flip book one, maybe that whole episode as well. So that was kind of a bigger scale thing as well. This just made it turn it just went bigger and everything. It's all the same stuff. But I don't know. It's still like one of the only things one of the few things that's kind of putting like this kind of mixed medium kind of collaborative thing like this. That said, that they hear that what's it called, Bochi the Rock was kind of like contending with it for like varying up its art style from episode to episode as well. So it's one of the many things you need to check out from this.
I checked it out and I was like, I admire its look, but it just did not click with me at all. I think it was the point at which I was like, oh, I think this might be Space Dandy for people who liked anime 8 years after I would my peak of anime. I was like, is this Space Dandy for people who really loved anime from 2006? In that it's like super visually inventive, but I was at the same time I was like, these characters do nothing for me, absolutely zip. And so I was like envying people who were getting something out of it because it just wasn't for me. Unlike me and Roboco, episodes 3 and 4, even though I can't remember what was in these episodes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember desperately. Like
the third one.
I've read these books, so I should be fine.
Third one is like, Madoka's coming over. Madoka!
Oh, yes, it's
coming over to Bondo's house because we've got a cool robot. Let's play board games.
Yes.
I did appreciate the joke. It still worked in anime where she arrives in. Oh, it's just like a Z fighter. She kind of flies in and slams down, that kind of thing.
That's the thing, like we'll play board games together. That's a cute little activity you can do with phone. But Madoka is like she's the hardcore like gambling god of any board game out there.
Chin and everything. And Roboco's like, oh, I thought you were I thought that legendary player had like gone
Queen
off
of
the
Darkness,
scene.
Madoka. I thought you'd vanish from the scene. Like, yes, those are good times. But I challenge you now to shogi. I'll bet my left arm on it. I'll bet my life on it.
Bondo's just like, what is happening right now? It's just like, and the end of it is the joke of she came here to hang out with Roboco, not you. Sorry, dude. It's like, she said that initially.
I now remember the fourth one is the wilderness episode.
Yes.
Which unfortunately they do not have time.
Yeah,
they didn't have time for the reveal that's at the end of the comic where they read the newspaper article and they see that he is both incredibly bald underneath his hat and he's only 20 years old.
Yeah. All the old people in this are in their 20s, early 20s.
It needs like a little kind of boxing with his name from name age 20.
Yeah, that's not in the... I did check the comic. That's not in that very first one. It's only after the reveal
that they repeat the joke
in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And they say like, no, the comic is over there. They could have just done it then as well. Maybe they don't want to mess with the fucking Canada thing. It wasn't in the chapter, so I'm not going to put it in.
Yes, well, based on...
we get letters about that kind of
based
thing.
on how I've read the interview of how Daichi storyboards, it's probably because he was just using the comic and scribbling on it. But
it works in this. It's still pretty funny.
Oh yes. There's still some the stuff with the bear
Just look at the first intimation sort of Gorilla Gachi is indestructible.
They did drop him on the way to the woods,
and you can launch him like a deadly ultimate attack.
Yeah, and she didn't even let him finish talking about his brave sacrifice before she misses the fucking bear and just throws him into a mountain like Gohan. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine at the end of the episode. Gorilla Gachi is indestructible. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. We defeated the bear, and also we've wiped away all of its kind of aggressive and kind of intimidating nature. It'll still eat the shit out of you, but it looks so cute now.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's her Roboco blast, which is like the Psycho Gun, rather. And there may have been a 5th episode, but it hasn't been fansubbed yet.
Yeah, we have to wait.
Because it was Christmas. Right. Yeah. I imagine they were busy. Then it is, he says, losing his place.
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho 103. Episode 12. Confession. The Future. In which, whose confession is it? Is it, well, it's Reagan's, isn't it, really?
It's Reagan.
It's Reagan's.
I mean, there's also the confession to yourself. I was just like, yeah, you're not two different alternate personalities. You're two different sides of the same person trying to.
It's all you, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this to you that you can't keep it locked up because it happened to happen to you, that time, and you've been afraid ever since of you running wild, like you're doing right now. But being afraid of it and running away from it has not made you haven't dealt with it, and it's going to happen anyways. It's all going to come boiling out like this because you keep suppressing it. It's just going to come fucking erupting out even harder at some stage. So you gotta meet with your problems. You got to take them head on and just accept them and try and and live with it and get on with it, because you're just kind of dismissing it. You're not even living. You're kind of dismissing this part of yourself, dismissing this part of your life, and you're not being your real self with anybody. All these people that you call your friends, and you like you for who you aren't being real with them, man. So what's up with that? I mean, Subomi, she's the best friend you ever got. She didn't get bored with you. She treated you like a normal person. She's dead sound to get down to it.
That's the problem. is that you've got one. You've got the one he's locked away. That's his opinion. Is that.
Yeah,
you've locked this away, and Subomi was perfectly fine, and you shouldn't have changed. Is the side which is taken is the question mark percentage is you changed, you shouldn't have changed, you should have carried on using your powers because she liked you then as a friend, and therefore it's me who should go and ask her out. But
I'm the real one. You're the mob that you became, not the original person that I was.
But then once he's shocked out of it by Reagan going, I'm a liar, it was all a lie, I have no psychic powers, question mark on that.
And I think it's only fun, Bob, Shigeo, the two of them, he knew that inside himself, and he was just saying, nah, Master wouldn't do that. No, Master wouldn't do that. Master's always been kind of me.
Because you have the Master wouldn't do that, and you have the old one is like, this guy's just fucking manipulating you. He's just using you. He only wants you around. He's only apologizing because he wants to use your powers to solve fucking crime. We know this on the inside. And then him actually going I fucked up. You came into my office as a kid, and I didn't want to leave you disappointed. And I just kept repeating the lie over and over again. And that was fucked up of me. It was kind of thing of, it's a genuine, heartfelt apology of just I let the lie keep spinning out of fucking control. I have no psychic powers. I do help people. I do want to help people. I want to be good. I often don't, but I'm trying. Okay.
Yeah. But he went all because he didn't want to let the kid down.
Yeah.
He didn't want to let the kid down.
His intentions were good from the start, and that's the important part of the lie was based on kindness, not cruelty. It was then manipulated into a thing which was selfish, but it came from kindness.
I didn't want to let you down, but in the course of doing that, I have now let you down even harder than I ever possibly could have. No, I knew this day might come, but I didn't think it would be as catastrophic as this. So I have to just I have to face it on now. I've been keeping that problem bottled up myself.
But Mob at the same time is remembering all these friends I've made as Mob. And then the original question mark's panicking because we see the percentages going up, and he knows what percentage is going up is the Shigeo Kageyama percentage reaches 100%.
Actualization.
And there's no longer two of them.
I did appreciate the build up to it as well with your man. I keep forgetting his name. The guy who currently has an umbrella and generates psychics.
Yeah.
Serizawa can't go too far because he's already had his character growth. It's like you're good. You learned your lesson. You're fine. But Reagan has to still learn his lesson. And the whole thing of he can't get close with apologies, and but it's like, but I've been working out, and his that sequence that it's beautifully animated, and he's like working his way through all the things and like smacking himself off every single fucking bit of well animated debris that's coming his way. It's like the opposite of the triumphant One Punch Man thing. It's just like, oh my god, he's so fucked up.
He keeps getting up though.
He keeps getting up. Yeah.
He gets the shit kicked out of him by the triple question mark hurling buildings at him. And then he somehow still manages to block his path because Dimple's back and has possessed his body. And this is where the question mark is. I was like, at what point in the story did he start being able to see Dimple?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think you do have
the gift
some
after all,
ability.
right?
They have had conversations, I think, in like the last season, just him and Dimple. So clearly he has some spiritual awakening. Even if it's just like, I can just see that one fucking ghost. It's like, that's something.
Yeah, because other people don't when he's wandering around later.
Yeah, because wasn't that a way to do it? Like, you could just let Dimple into you. You could kind of like jumpstart any latent power you have. So he's been possessed by him. So that's probably just there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he can still hold his own to a degree after Dimple leaves his body at that point. But this is all unimportant. It's just that little, the few visual touches that maybe he's not as big a liar as he thinks he is. That there is a little something going on there. Yeah, and then everything's fine. He goes. Dimple really wants to follow because he's very curious. He's curious if Simone is even there. He's like, why would she even be there? I'd have got the hell out of there. But yeah, she was, and she's turned him down. And
we don't see it like he points out. It's like, no, this is for Mob, this is for Shigeo. We're not going to interfere with this. And he kind of comes back. He's like, she turned me down.
You okay, man? Yeah.
And
he's upset. And
he feels comfortable now. He feels like I've accepted that one bit of myself now. I can actually just that sucked. I'm gonna let that out.
Yes.
And I'm just going to focus on that. I'm not going to fucking go full Akira and just level the city now again. I can accept this part of myself. I feel bad sometimes.
It's just an adult figure walking home.
I feel good sometimes. And
he's walking home with a kid under his wing, and he's not like, well, we're going to have to clean up the town, but let's get you some noodles or something. Come on, we'll cheer you up.
They're going to ring up all the psychics they know and get them to tidy.
Yeah, we know a lot of people who could fix this place up. It's fine. It'll be fine.
That guy had this thing on lock, yeah.
And it doesn't linger on it at all. And then it's like epilogue where it's the new school year. The town has been totally fixed up, and then we get to see check in on all the characters. So now Shigeo's now the vice captain of the Body Improvement Club.
Because everyone else has graduated, but he does offer his brother, you want to come to summer camp with the guys? And his brother's just imagining all these buff dudes just working out and sweating. He's like, no, absolutely not.
They've even got some girls in the Body Improvement Club now.
Hey, listen, the whiteboard just tells you how to do press-ups. Press-ups are for everyone, all right?
Also, the room looks tidier and it looks more integrated with the UFO club.
Improving mind, improving body. Do you think the aliens will come back? Absolutely, they'll come back with his beautiful eyes.
Yes, because the telepath is now hanging out with all of them regularly.
Oh man, you still here? Oh, I guess I'll sit in.
They're all.
I did like the thing of like, how's it going on with your girlfriend, Shiggy? I was like, that's not my girlfriend. She fucking rejected me. It's like, aren't you on the phone to her like every night? It's like, yeah,
we're friends.
Yeah. It's just like
we can be friends. Like, no, it isn't some kind of like consolation prize. I'm mature enough in myself.
But it's also the suggestion of the way she turned it on was like, listen, I don't know you well enough to go out with you. She's willing to learn, so you're not out entirely, but also friendship is the reward as well. So little combination.
And so they're all heading. Well, there's a little bit of worry about Shigeo's fashion still, and.
You're not gonna wear that's
true to him, man. Yeah. He's doing it for himself. That's what he likes. That's what he likes.
Him and Terry are gonna buy some more terrible shirts. But they're
And the whole thing of like him refusing to use his powers at several occasions, whereas like there's a cat stuck on a pole and he starts to climb up the pole, and the cat just jumps off onto a tree, and his brother's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You're halfway up a telephone
Don't
pole."
want to rely on him. That's not like the summation of who I am anymore.
But it's also the suggestion that he's lost it for the longest time, because it's just like, has he lost his powers? Is he refusing to use it, or is he unable to use it? And it's kind of like, does he need to?
He doesn't need to, I think. You know,
exactly.
That was just something thinking, because by withdrawing away from that power was the only thing that defined him, because he was just this faceless like dude in the crowd then.
Particularly when you get to the office, it's clear like, oh yeah, your other guy's taken over Bob's role. They make that clear, and they've now got the girl who was the head of the UFO club, but now she's in high school. She's working there.
Yeah, she's interning there. Your man is actually running it. Yeah, your man seems to be running the fucking show now, which makes sense because he has psychic powers for fighting ghosts.
And he's the guy we see use psychic powers at the end in order to stop the cake. Though perhaps he shouldn't have done, because then he wouldn't have landed in it. Yes, but they're all getting ready to have a surprise party for Reagan, who's on his way back with Dimple. They invited all the other telepaths. Also, Sho showed up. I like how every time Sho shows up, he's like, "Oh, Ritsu's here."
Oh, best friend. Yeah. Like, what? He's cut his hair like a little man.
Ritsu and Ritsu's brother. Wow, everyone is here, I guess. Yeah.
And then Reagan falls in, and then lands headfirst in his cake, which prevents it from being sappy. As they point out,
it disguises his crying.
And importantly, the thing is that Shigeo is the first one to laugh at him.
Yeah,
and the way it's animated, it's such like an open, genuine like laugh. It's so nice. Like you can see it's a kid laughing at a very funny thing has happened. Not Mob is like, I have no real emotion about this situation. It's like no. He's in the moment. He's living his life, and it's so sweet, yeah.
Yeah, man. 3 series this week. We're trying 3 series now, trying to build this young lad, back up into himself again.
Yeah.
The whole town was behind him, and it all came together. He leveled that same town. However, I think it's a fair trade-off for getting him back to like in a good place, to get a good headspace again.
Well, he's on balance. He stopped it from being leveled once, and he's leveled it himself once. So,
but they fixed it, so that's fine. It's all good.
Balances itself out. It's good. I think it's good overall. I still wish it had the pace of the first season all the way through.
I mean, like that thing was fairly perfect with its pacing. So that's kind of difficult.
Overall, a very good adaptation.
It's just huge. It's just tremendous. Like, besides the small little things like that, I couldn't find much to pick apart in it. Like, you could never say it ever looked bad. Maybe some were more spectacle than others, but still, it was always felt so dense with things. And how was this kind of like it was very good, kind of bringing like everybody in and out. It wouldn't be a guy that defeated and that's it. No, he's back. He's got a weirder haircut now. Always just growing the hair back because you like blew it all off his head there last time he came back. So it was just kind of in this weird middle transition period now.
And like it's built up those characters to the point where you kind of really get where they're coming from. So like when they all kind of step up to stop Mob, it's like it shows you that it's the end of their arc, that kind of thing. Where the Body Improvement Club is like, they like him, he's their friend. They've seen the effort he's put in, and they think it's his muscles that are doing this, but that they just have that bit wrong. Or you have like the other guys come in and like the father comes in and is like, I must defeat you like you defeated me, because that really set me on the straight and narrow. Like, I'm glad you did that for me. And his son going like, okay, maybe my dad isn't an entire piece of shit, or at least wants to not be a shit anymore. Like, there's all the characters show like their growth, and that's the final confrontation, character growth, rather than a big fight. It is still a big fight that is spectacularly animated because it's this show, but
it's just like the redemptive power that Shige or that Mob has. While he had no kind of personality of his own to kind of like exude out, they're suppressing. He could read anybody else like a book and saying, "You're just fucking trying to be tantrum now, world domination. You're just fucking acting up." Like, way to notions, like. And I was telling my saying, "You're right. I was being a absolute tool back then. I should we consider myself. I have a son. God, I got to raise that guy. Jesus."
Yeah.
Then, did any of us watch episode 1 of season 4 of Bungo Stray Dogs?
No.
I thought about being cruel to myself, but I didn't. So
Because
good for me.
it is adapting I think it's like the beginnings of the detective agency or something. It's
No,
called.
not that even then. It's saying,
No,
oh, it's
I'm
like,
good.
oh, you're gonna get the hidden secrets fund saying it probably won't be that intriguing at all.
No.
Will it? It's just about like a meeting or a little caper about how you came up with the name of it.
Yeah,
It's
I
probably
think-
something stupid like that.
I think it's like.
Fool me once,
I-
shame on you.
yes, I
Fool me twice. You know the order. I don't know.
Yeah, don't fool me 3 times.
That's the one.
Yeah, I think from what the gist I got is that if Ranpo is your favorite character, then you want to watch this.
Okay.
But yeah, what I watch it for is the cool superpower and action.
Where's the point Kenji Miyazawa arc? You know, he's just fucking hulking out and he never gets anything to do. I guess his ability is limited in that for what he can do with it. But maybe he's got like, you know, he was like a famous author as well. What's his like? He's probably got some layers to him.
And then we got 2 new things. Buddy Daddies, episode 1, Piece of Cake. Both of these written by Nitro Plus related writers, in part. So Buddy Daddies is about these 2 20-something assassins. One of them.
Have you seen 3 Men and a Little Lady?
Yeah.
Right.
What if
that
they-
would be 2 assassins.
Yes. 2 assassins. You're not responsible enough to keep a cat, but I am going to take this child after I have possibly killed her father.
It's fortunate that he looks like the dead, so that works out. Yeah.
That's the bit where I'm like, ugh. Because this is the thing. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be ambiguous or not. Because
Yeah.
when they get
I wasn't entirely sure on that myself.
because when they get the file for the target, it says has like recently bleached his hair. So I was like, oh, does he
Yeah.
Is that meaning that he regularly bleaches it? He's just bleached it again, or is this the first time he's bleached it? It's not actually him in those photos.
Right.
But at the same time, the guy in the photos does have the ear stud that the target's got.
Yeah.
And our hero doesn't have the same eye color as the guy in the photos.
I was going to say, like
I'm not sure
one of
the
them has like
target
red
doesn't
eyes,
either.
and the other one has brown eyes.
But I'm not sure
yeah.
the target really, you see him have clear red eyes like you see in the photo at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's this child. There's a whole lot of people getting shot in the head in front of this child, and the child is oblivious to it.
They do a good job of actually kind of turning around. Hey, look at that! Pop, pop, pop.
I did like the way it opens with the 2 assassins already have a kid, and they're kind of arguing over the phone as to correct parenting techniques between themselves while they're interrogating a guy.
Okay, Gonzalez, where are the drugs? Hang on, she's at school. That says she's got a cold. You let her get sick again, didn't you? Talking about
She was sniffling a little. What? How could you let her go to school with a cold? What the fuck? It's like, guys, can I go? It's like, shut up, black.
on the phone here. Anyways, what was I saying?
Yeah. So, and it goes like, how do we get in this crazy situation? Well, it was
Christmas
crazy
Eve.
Christmas Eve, and we were doing a hit.
With the whole Christmas thing and with the callous disregard for human life and the kind of pithy remarks and comments dropped left and right, it feels a lot more like this is like a fun Shane Black film.
Yeah, definitely taking inspiration from the heightened tension of the season. Yeah,
And I quite like the younger one. He's a slob around the house, but when they're on the mission, he's more professional of the 2 of them.
So he wears a suit, his hair tied up, and
like no fuss, no like messing around, like very serious on the job. Whereas the other guy does all the cleaning, make sure he fucking wipes his own fucking arse at home, but then he's a lot more sloppy on the mission. They work well together, basically.
Hey man, fuck, he's got a household to run, okay? Whatever gets the job done, okay? he put on the Santa costume. It wasn't a great Santa costume, but he went out and got it and he wore it.
And it kind of shows him like the cruelty of it's like, you won't let me keep a cat. It's like, no, we're assassins. We could die at any time. I know this because I have own tragic backstory circumstances. But even when he puts the cat back in the box, he's like, I'm going to go buy some cat food and give that cat my scarf. And I can't not show kindness. He's still a kind character. He's just trying to be careless. He's just a failure at it.
Yeah, he has a James Caan and Thief and like speedo of one. Don't get involved with something you can't walk away from in 30 seconds or less.
So that's Buddy Daddies. Then we got Giant Beasts of Ours by a different Nitro Plus writer. This is a fantasy story about giant beasts.
From your arse.
From your ass. It's the promise that started it all, where it's a typical thing where we're introduced to a whole bunch of fantasy characters who eventually, I assume, will all meet as suggested in the opening credits.
You're gonna have to help me with this one because maybe it was the show. I'm not 100% sure, or is my sleep schedule been out of fucking whack? I fell asleep during this, and I'm not sure what the fuck happened.
And I didn't watch it.
I watched it, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yes!
Okay, so there's a woman called 22 who's being pursued by an agent of the Empire who's eating green crystals in a way that does not appear to be healthy. There is a depressed paladin who goes around calling himself Jiro the Already Dead when he's
and everyone thinks that's a super edgelordy name as well. Yeah.
Oh, they think it's a stupid name, is what they think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a stupid name.
Because basically he's signing up. Everybody is called something the something because the 22 is rescued by a woman. I can't remember what her first name is, but her epithet is the Spunky.
I kind of like that because all the characters in Giant Robo, you all have a little thing like that, or a lot of like the fucking the adversaries in Trigun as well. They're also like when Mid Valley the Horn Freak and
we don't understand how this world works, but it is something like that adventurers have to take on that epithet kind of thing that they embody in some regard. But also, like, there's a giant monster currently attacking it, and there's a bunch of dudes shooting it with cannons. It's like, we got it! And it's like, yeah, it's a giant monster. It goes by different rules. Your man's like, all right, I'm going to go for it. Your one's like, I haven't been paid yet. And she starts glowing. He starts glowing. Now I have superpowers. I was like, I don't know how this is working, but I guess we'll find out as we go.
Yeah, that's like the starting bit. I think that might be like a flashback. Possibly,
yeah, because it goes like, and then like 10 years later or several months later or something, there is a time skip. But it's like, this is the weirdness of this world.
Yeah, that first bit is almost, I'm not sure that needs to be there, to be honest. It might work better just
I think it's to make you go, cool, superpowers and magic. All right, I'm hooked. And I was just like,
I guess.
I was more hooked by a young girl kicking the jail door off and like crushing her jailers and just running like a lunatic all the way through it. That was fun. That was the bit where I was like, this bit.
It's like, it feels like she's some sort of experiment they're trying to recapture. The guy from the Empire who's eating these crystals.
Also, she runs into the guards' commissary and like runs out with a bunch of chicken wings and is just munching on them. They're all very serious characters, and she's a fucking cartoon character who's escaped into this world.
Also say one of the character designers is character designer from Megalobox and Michiko and Hatchet.
Oh,
that was why I gave a damn about this. I was trying to remember what was it about this that even thinking in my mind.
Everything looks really good and it's well animated.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I don't mean to disparage you when I say I fell asleep. I think that's on me mostly.
So 22, she's got disguise now. She's got some proper clothes and some shoes from whatever her name the Spunky is. I was like, oh, don't let that spunky lady die. But apparently she does not. She's not really in the rest of the episode. So then she goes shopping, runs into a character who is either, I guess she might be a halfling with a cat on her head, or she's a cat with a halfling strapped to its chest, because she talks
not clear
in non-stop cat puns.
Yeah. What's meowing on over here? You like unnecessary fucking puns, and I don't mind that the subtitles have very bad cat puns written in. I feel like that's part of the purpose of the character. Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, she's singing the Happy Birthday song to herself, but just as meow as every single word. Also, the reason why it might be the cat that's controlling the human or the halfling or whatever she is, a child, is because every time she closes her eyes, the cat closes her eyes, and every time she opens her eyes, the cat's got its eyes open.
Whoa, parasite.
Yeah.
So, it
is just like currently like glommed onto her head like a brain slug. So that's fair enough.
But there is a strap going underneath her chin.
That's true.
Well,
that's true.
The cat brain parasite would know, like, needs to secure its holding.
What if there's a strong breeze?
Symbiotic host, yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, that's a ring. Nobody can put it on. It's got a curse." And she's like, "Oh no, I'm wearing it. Does that mean I'm cursed?"
I've already put it on.
But by the end of the episode, I'm thinking that cat lady wanted her to put that ring on because she's acting like, "Oh, everything's going as planned." So we briefly cut away to I think she's a general for the Empire who's being told by these women who seem to be relaying the Emperor's wishes. She's like, we can't take troops away from the city because there's more giant beasts going on than normal. And then the women are like, but those giant beasts aren't just attacking our country, they're attacking the barbarians of the other countries. So this is an opportunity to attack. And so I want you to go and attack those countries. And she storms off going, I can't believe what the Emperor's making me do. I assume we'll be back to those at some point. Meanwhile, a giant warthog has appeared. And they're like, oh, giant beast. Everyone's signing up to fight. This is where you get the names, because they're giving their names so that they'll have a name to put on your tombstone when you get killed by the giant beast.
Yeah,
make it a cool one.
All the adventurers need to sign all the paperwork before they go fight the giant beast, basically. That's what your one was given about at that opening thing, was as to whether those characters matter. It's like, no, we have to sign the paperwork first.
Yeah, so they fight the giant beast. Somebody falls down. He's about to get killed. Jiro leaps off the battlements, rescues him. And then everybody just fires multiple crossbow bolts and ballistas and cannons into the beast, and it dies. Hooray, has nobody died. This guy's like, hey, I should be called the already dead. You're Jiro the Lightning. You're so fast rescuing me. Meanwhile, 22 runs into some of the guards. They try and capture her. They hit her with two with arrows, and then like power starts welling up inside of her, and the two people who are closest to her just incinerate into ashes immediately.
Yeah,
and
that's the first thing she's done, which wasn't funny and comedic and cartoony, and it was like, ooh, that's nasty.
Yes, and Jiro's sleeping on his aeroplane flying ship that he's got, and
it's tied up at the dock with the boats and stuff. She kind of like dives away, swims like presumably like several miles underwater, hops up in his boat, and he's like, hello, goodbye. And a bunch of guards pull up on the boat. It's like, have you seen a weird little girl pass by here? It's like, yeah, she went that away.
Oh, was that early? Okay, so yeah, he rushes, grabs her, pulls her underwater, and then they have a psychic conversation. He's like, what's a cleric like you wandering around without a paladin to guard you? And that's when the cat girl is, or the girl cat, is sitting watching all this happen on the top of a building, singing happy birthday to herself, and acting like, haha, everything is going as planned. I don't think we see any of the other characters in the opening credits. There's like a rabbit woman, and there's some other animal people. There's a lot of animal people who basically just look as animal as, say, Arthur from the cartoon Arthur. They've just got essentially a human with ears sticking out the top of their heads. But there does appear to be ones who are a little bit more animal-like. But yeah, it looks great. It turns out Jiro's also got like some sort of magical staff back at his boat that he wasn't using to fight beasts. Also, her and Siri, everybody, has brought another giant beast to the town, but it's unlike ones they've seen before. They're like, what the fuck is that? It's like some sort of Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby monstrosity. It's just got no head and just fires a beam out of its neck. So it looks a bit like a mindless one. To some degree.
I was thinking it was probably like a beast that's been processed in a way to be a weapon rather than just random attacks or something like that. I was getting that impression.
I don't know if it was summoned because she was starting to use whatever her cleric ability is. There's like lots of little clues, little bits and pieces, but it's never stopping to explain anything, which is why I quite liked it.
Yeah.
It's just like dotting little bits of this world building as it goes along, and
you're watching the magic system happen and trying to figure out how does this fucking work. Yeah, it's a better way to do it.
And it's quite interesting. It's like, what's a cleric like you without a paladin to doing here to guard you? And then he's having a flashback to something similar happening to. Was it the woman in the start of the series episode?
Yeah.
And he says it's some sort of. It's the bereavement process or something. There's something involving bereavement is happening. Anyway, it's all sorts of things which aren't going to make sense in the watch, but it's pretty good fun watching it. I had more fun with this than Buddy Daddies, because Buddy Daddies felt a little bit too cynical.
I'll give Buddy Daddies another shot because I did enjoy it a lot. But I was kind of thinking, I do have Lupin Zero, and I was kind of like getting I was enjoying Buddy Daddies, but I was thinking about I wish this was Millionaire Detective. You know, I was just
Yes, yeah, that is as well.
Well,
And
if you want Millionaire Detective, you have High Card for that.
yes,
yeah, okay, good.
I have briefly dipped into High Card, and also as much as I like Giant Piece of Ass, I believe that I'm probably going to like that one about the handyman who's travelled to another world more.
Handyman Psycho.
Because it does just sound like it's a load of sketches
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the description I read, and I was like, she'll probably enjoy that more. But yeah, well, check it out. Great character designs. I was like, these character designs are really speaking to me. Who did this? And I looked at, well, it's one person did the original ones, and then 2 people converted into anime, and one of those people also went to Megalobox. And I was like, that'll be why.
Yeah.
I apparently did see all of that, so the sleepy brain was not distracted. But
I agree.
It was really enjoyable, but I feel like it's going to be up on the chop because there's too many other fucking things as well as the other problem. Yeah,
that is it. Yeah, because what is up with everything else? There is, to add to this nonsense, Vinland Saga season 2 episode 1. I've already watched that. We are getting Suddenly Egyptian Gods season 2. That's a short.
I'm surprised.
Vampire Dies in No Time season 2. It's up to you. I'm not going to watch Inspector, but you did watch Inspector. So
I'll look at it again and see if it gets on. I know like when they come back in, it's just like it's kind of gets you kind of back in with the whole
like
setup
up to speed and stuff. Yeah.
So I'll see like if that still is something that I'll cop on with.
I mean, we did thoroughly enjoy the last one, but again, whether there's going to be time is the other thing.
Yeah. Trigun Stampede, Handyman Saito in Another World, High Card, 10 showing up in Urusei Sura. Ryosuke's dad being voiced by Shigeru Chiba, as Niles pointed out to me. There'll be highly 2 hooks to bring me back into Urusei Sura there.
2 strong, meaty ones.
Yes, because there'll be plenty of Shigeru Chiba.
And eventually Bungo straight out and it stops with this nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if Uncle from Another World's back. At the same time, I'm like, I should probably finish Bastard because they've announced season 2 of Bastard.
Yeah, we have until the summer for that. So
okay.
Some time.
Okay. That's a bit of a gap.
I was able to finish things from the last season at least. So Akebe Maid War that ended quite satisfactorily, and it played it kind of straight with like the gangster yakuza for the mangle there. Like when I was getting to the end, and saying, "Oh yeah, well, it was all fucking japes and capers and bloodshed, most of the way through." But that tricked you, or to get you to like them. So then we do like some actual like heavy gang shit. You're gonna feel it a lot more, and it worked. It was good because like it was all played out like mostly straight. We're gonna we're out these bitches once and for all. But like but you're more like for an anime years because you're from like the Bear Cafe and the Sheep Cafe. And it's like, how are you having this fucking hard boy meeting? And what's over as well was Gundam Richard Mercury as well, which took quite the turn at the very end before it took a break for a while. It's kind of thing like if you watch yourself, waiting for something to go seriously wrong here. It's like, it's around like a space station factory thing. It's being attacked by the some mercenaries who've been hired by one of the factions who are behind the scenes. Like, that plays out. He saves the day, but then it just kind of at the very sudden just turn in her character, I suppose, or just in relationship she has, because it's like Sonata, she's like the red haired girl, and she has this like kind of cute little thing with Mirin, who she's the kind of distant, kind of cold one, but they've come together and had an understanding this previous episode, and now this kind of has been thrown out the window.
Okay.
But Sonata must realize her destiny as a killing machine designed by her mother to kill things. Yeah, so if that comes back, we'll see if they can make some hay out of that, or this was the writer of Code Geass. It wasn't just like a shocking thing that just kind of dropped just to get some fucking rise out of people before you just kind of probably walk it back with Actually, I'm fine with you killing people. You know, it's something like I can get over. In fact, if it means world peace or galactic peace,
Yeah,
I don't know.
They've. I hadn't realised Vinland Saga was simulcast on Netflix as well.
I told you this about 3 times. Yeah. So that's a strange little partnership, all right.
Yeah, there's definitely some deals going on that works out. Obviously, a lot of the high dive stuff showing up on Crunchyroll is because it's the same company now, so that's not as weird. But yeah, there's definitely some
Funimation, not High Dive.
Sorry, fun. Yeah, because Vampire Dies in No Time is on Crunchyroll now as well.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Yeah, sorry, I was mixing up my companies.
Maybe which manga publisher is,
Yeah, that could be it.
But yes, I believe isn't the situation with Uncle from Another World is that they got to the penultimate episode and then there's a delay now for them to finish making the last episode. Anyway, they're still not. I guess maybe for the translation they're just going to wait till they finished before they put it up.
Yeah.
It's just from the stop and start the thing, and when it just stopped for a long time, you got to get that momentum back up again. Is like takes twice as long nearly from when you started. So
yeah,
it's all right. You'll see it when you see it. It'll turn up. Jesus, at some stage. I hope people they're not going to that much grief over the second thing at this stage.
Well, just one episode to do. So they've almost reached the finishing line by not spending any money on it. That's it for this week. We will be back next week with a little bit less and a little bit more at the same time.
So it's the same then.
Well, yeah, I may be. Some of these I might go partway through an episode and go, okay, let's cut these things off quickly as possible.
Oh.
But not Vinland Saga. I've already watched that. It's great. Possibly even an improvement on the manga chapters of the same bit.
Yeah, I went and I just watched again the last episode of the thing, like just to kind of remember where it left off in the TV show. Right, I knew like what was it going to be like going here, but even just kind of get back in the feel of it. It's just like why do I want to watch this when I've read it or read like a good chunk of it? And it's like, oh, that's why, because they do interesting, cool things with it. And
yeah,
I see that guy get chopped up real good. It was rad.
Yeah, and they there's a little bit of they removed some humor from the comic in this first bit. I think it works for the better because I think the character who ends up with a lot of the humor attached to them hadn't been introduced at that point, and it's like, oh, once you know that character's coming, you can remove the humor from some of the other characters because you know their role's going to be there for being the butt of the jokes,
right? Yeah.
And also for being not even just the butt of the jokes, just for like the butt of the story almost in the latest volume that I got. Poor old Bug Eyes.
I would have Finland too, you
know. Anyway, more chat on this sort of stuff next week. Goodbye.